It's not every day that we get to ask a student if they had a magic pen for the day, how would they change public education?
That was the charge of the day for the first ever and historic look at the year 2015 and beyond. The Valley seat of the State Board of Education, Ruben Cortez Jr., facilitated by Region 1 Education Service Center, came together to take input and feedback that would be instrumental in developing a long-range plan for Texas education.
Ultimately, we're going to get input from stakeholders from every corner of the state of Texas.
But looking forward first meant understanding the past. It was called a Y2K disaster that never was. Many believe that widespread computer system failures would trigger an international crisis. And it was under this cloud of uncertainty in the year 2000-2001 that the State Board of Education last began the process of developing the first long-range education plan.
When it was approved back in November of 2000, life was not what it is today in January of 2015. So today we're here for 2015 and beyond. You know, as we develop this plan, education and the world around us has changed drastically in this decade and a half. And so it's time for us to update our plan, you know. And rather than have a bunch of us as state board members do it, you know, we want students, educators, educational leaders, higher ed partners, community leaders. We have city council members, you know, we've got some school board members. I mean, we've got a cross-section from the business and industry and parents that are here giving valued input on what we can do as policymakers to shape education in the state of Texas. And the first forum that we're hosting is right here in Region 1.
That encompasses pre-kindergarten to high school education to post-secondary and to the world of work.
The opening general session first touched on some of the challenges educators faced at the start of the 21st century. Factors like rapid growth, changing economic trends and demographics set the tone for reform. And notice at the bottom of the graphic the consideration for technology, an important priority, but last on the list. Students, educators, and parents in the audience at Region 1 learned that the educational needs of students were still evolving. By the year 2008, technology was now at the top of the list for a group of 35 superintendents known as the Vision Institution, and customized learning was more relevant to today's digital natives in our classroom.
So here's the iPad. So say that we're solving an equation.
Changes in education continued and was even clear in the name House Bill 3 Transition Plan for Texas. That's when the new standardized test for students in Texas became the new STAR test. And finally, in 2013, the Texas Legislature approved House Bill 5 and made substantial changes to House Bill 3 and the state's curriculum and graduation requirements.
Students that began our House Bill 5 are our seniors that are sitting in our classrooms right now that are ready to graduate. And when they entered high school, we had just significant changes to graduation that we had never seen in the history of the state of Texas. They had 15 STAR EOCs that they had to pass in order to graduate, where previous graduates had to pass 4 exams. And eventually we saw a reduction in those exams. So by the time they actually became seniors, they really only needed 5, but some of these kids had already taken 8, 9, 10 of the exams and done really, really well. So with our incoming freshmen, which is House Bill 5, we now see these students that actually have to pass the test. So the changes are dramatic, they're good for kids. We have a reduction in exams, which means we're not going to spend all of this time assessing kids in each one of our grade levels, but preparing them for college without remediation is our goal.
Students here, do y'all feel like you're college ready? Yeah, right? Because, hey, if you're like me, I've got 2 kids in high school. A lot of things have come along in education in the past couple of years, and there's been a big change, a big shift, if you will. And so our focus, as I said, the college, we want our kids, we want you. When you get that diploma, you're going to be ready to walk into a college ready to go. Whether it's you're going to be to a major university, you're going to get an associate's degree, whatever. The whole focus, the whole shift has been we want you to be ready to get that diploma, go out, and head into post-secondary education, get you into post-secondary life.
The second phase of the Educator Forum was to separate the group into 5 breakout sessions. With as many students, parents, and administrators coming from Weslaco ISD, Superintendent Dr. Ruben Alejandro quarterbacked a plan to strategically divide the group evenly so that a balanced amount of information could be brought back to Weslaco.
I want you to go to different rubrics. I want you to be able to interact with different with people from other districts. Okay? I want them to see what Weslaco is all about.
And there was no shortage of discussion at any of the sessions.
I've taken like 4 classes over the past 4 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, that are all relative to the law and criminal justice background. And I feel like it's helped me plenty. This year I'm taking I think it's criminal justice, like defining criminal justice and like the backgrounds of it. And each year I've gained more and more and more knowledge and experience as to why it's important. Like these small learning communities are actually beneficial.
I like the way she's saying that we can get tested individually, and it's easier. You can't put like a monkey and a fish and say climb this tree, that's how you're gonna be tested. You can't. It's just not fair.
I would like to see the legislature put some parameters on daycares and say, you know what, here's a curriculum that you have to follow. Just like the Head Start was supposed to do, but let's do it for the daycares as well. We have a program called 0 to 3 Weslaco Reads. And the whole idea is I want to get kids ready so that when I get them as pre-K 4, then I don't have to worry about teaching them how to read and comprehend, because they'll already be coming with those skills, and then I can start moving them a little faster.
Some of the sessions included early learning support, college and career readiness, preparing students for the workforce, and a well-known topic in Weslaco, teaching 21st century skills. But the driving force behind each session were the experiences of students and administrators that came together on simple issues like multiple choice testing.
And even our driving test, there's a multiple choice part, and then you better drive the car. You can't just go and take a multiple choice and you know how to drive.
Oh, it's overwhelming in the sense that, they told us that these bills and the ways that the teachers teach haven't been really adjusted since about 2000. So now here we are, 2015, right, 15 years later, and to be a part of such a historic moment to where my ideas and everyone else's ideas here are going to be put into play to eventually change the way the education system in Texas is run is overwhelming and mind-boggling, because it's like my opinion matters as does everyone else's, and it makes a really big impact to know that my future is in the hands of really good educators.
Well, why not give the lecture and then have us turn around and create something, and then you listen to us and make sure that we actually got what you were teaching.
My concern is I teach at an early college high school, and some of our kids, even at the early college high school, are reading at an elementary level or middle school level, and it begs the question, what are we doing to really bring them up to par to where they get to this gentleman's classroom? As he pointed out, he was expecting them to know this, but they really know that. And how do we bridge the gap?
We cannot test our way into college readiness. We cannot test our way into workforce readiness. And I think the ground is fertile. For so long in education, for so many decades, we have been with our hat in our hand, just about compliance. Legislature was not consulting with educators on what is going to improve instruction.
For example, in my computer programming class, or last year when I took computer programming, they were teaching really traditional old school computer programming. But then when I went to an engineering camp in the summer, they were teaching completely something different, like something new that I've never heard of. And it was just showing that times have changed, that sometimes you have to change what you're teaching in the schools, because the things that they were teaching us, it's not going to help me if I want to be an engineer or anything.
What happens is there's a disconnect from what we're teaching to what they need to be successful in college or career, then we've missed the boat.
You can't be tested about your knowledge or what you've learned in that one test. It can have things that teachers didn't touch on, that teachers didn't prepare you for, and you're just tested on this one thing that colleges are looking for.
It's more of a maybe partial multiple choice and partial what you know, because you can't just focus, because you can go on a test and say, oh, A, B, C, D. Oh, I'm gonna pick B because it sounds right. But on the same way, it's like, I have to write out something, what do I know? Mentally and knowledgeably, it has to be the same thing.
You know, every day is a test, but you perform your duties as expected. And so the more you can mirror that at your level, so you can show what you know, not by multiple choice tests, because that's not really reality.
Just to ask ourselves, what are the strengths and the weaknesses of our current education system? And what are the challenges and the opportunities that exist? If every one of our comments is framed in that context, then I will get a consensus from all state board members as we move forward in developing this plan, because that's been the overarching message that they've all agreed on. And so if, as you guys are putting these concepts together that you're getting feedback from, if you frame them and articulate them from that lens, and we should get a consensus of the board to approve it, because those are the questions, those are the guiding questions that they keep asking.
Collaboration, communication, creative thinking, and problem solving may be teaching and learning methods of the 21st century, but they were also the foundation towards establishing the needs of students for 2015 and beyond. Educators at this historic and trend-setting event agreed that a plan born from the educational needs of students in extreme South Texas could easily be applied to all students from around the state. Our international borders, financial disparities in school funding, our economy and demographics makes the concept of being future-ready applicable to all students across Texas.
It's taken us about 1.5 years to get everybody to agree that we need to go forward and develop it.
The next step for the SBOE member Ruben Cortez is to present the results of the day's forum to educators statewide at the upcoming TASA-TASB Midwinter Conference. An ad hoc committee put together by the State Board of Education has been given the task of drafting the new 2015-2020 long-range plan. Members of the committee will be meeting on January 27th.
Like the pros and the cons.
I don't know who brought this 12-year-old, but I'm glad that she's here. That's good. Thank you. Yes, like the pros and the cons.
I'm Steve Valdez reporting for KWES TV.